Welcome back to Vetted Shorts, the channel where we peel back the layers of the darkest, weirdest, and most compelling alien dossiers ever whispered about in backwoods taverns, declassified files, and late-night radio. Today's story will challenge your sense of what walks the earth. Is there a scaly menace lurking under our noses, waiting for the right moment to show itself? Or is the legend just the fevered product of local superstition and imagination? Buckle in as we dive into the cryptid world of the reptilian archetype with a case that stands out from all the rest. The Lizard Man of Skape or Swamp, South Carolina, 1988. This isn't just another urban myth. This is concrete, with police reports, media frenzy, and a terrified small town. Real people, real panic, and an entity that, to this day, defies easy explanation. Picture this. Summer 1988, the rural outskirts of Bishopville, South Carolina, where the wet, mosquito-infested Skape or Swamp sits like a secret on the landscape. It's late at night and Christopher Davis, age 17, pulls his battered car to the roadside to check a flat tire. Tools in hand, alone except for the symphony of frogs and cicadas, Davis is about to experience something straight out of the pages of an old monster magazine, a moment that will birth an American legend. According to Davis, as he finishes up the repair, he hears a rustling from the shadows. Out from the darkness emerges a creature, unlike anything he's ever seen. It's tall, at least 7 feet, covered in green, shiny scales. Eyes that seem to glow red in the beam of his flashlight. 3 thick, claw-tipped fingers on each hand, with powerful, sinewy limbs and a sway to its movement that seems too agile for a human. At that moment, South Carolina earned its entry into the Alien Cryptid Monster Hall of Fame. But what exactly did Davis see that night? A mutant gator, an escaped reptile, or, as some believe, a terrestrial representative of a much older, much more sinister alien archetype, the reptilian? Let's break down this alien dossier. The reptilian archetype isn't just a product of modern UFO lore. It's rooted in world mythology, from the Nagas of Hindu myth to the ancient serpent gods of Mesoamerica. But where most alleged reptilians are tied to shadowy government, conspiracies, and cosmic infiltrators, the Lizard Man was a flesh and blood terror, encountered, fought off, and immortalized by the citizens of a small southern town. Let's explore the details of this cryptid encounter and see how it stands apart from the classic lizard people theory, which often involves cold political infiltration, shape-shifting, and interstellar power plays. The Lizard Man of Skape or Swamp is different. It is direct, physical, brutal even. So what evidence do we have for the creature, and what happened in that fevered South Carolina summer? The night Davis met the Lizard Man, terror truly began. He described how the creature lunged at his car, claws raking across the roof, and chased him as he sped away. Later, claw marks were found on the vehicle, a chilling bit of verifiable physical evidence. But Davis wasn't alone for long. As his story broke, others came forward, reporting similar creatures and even more vehicle damage. This wasn't just a flash in the pan. Authorities took the case seriously enough to open official investigations, drawing muddy plaster casts of 3-toed footprints found at the scene. The prints, each roughly 14 inches long, matched nothing known to local wildlife officials. The mainstream media took notice. Late-night TV hosts, cryptozoologists, skeptics, and true believers turned all eyes to Bishopville. Suddenly, the small swamp became a national curiosity. But the behavior described by Davis and subsequent witnesses is what sets this entity apart from other cryptids and supposed aliens. The Lizard Man never attempted to communicate. No messages of peace, no grand pronouncements. Instead, the behavior was hostile, predatory. There was even a report by a local witness claiming that the creature charged a car, tearing at the metal with alarming strength before retreating back into the maze-like swamps. Let's pause here and ask, why are reptilian archetypes almost always painted as malevolent? In the wide universe of reported alien encounters, a vast array of forms, greys, Nordics, even insectoids, are often described as cold or enigmatic, but few are as consistently and viscerally fear-inducing as reptilian-type cryptids. Is it the primal fear? The legacy of ancient rival predators? Or is there something genuinely, deeply sinister about this archetype in our collective subconscious? The answer might be older than you think. There's the classic serpent in the garden motif, evil, temptation, cold-blooded intelligence. But Skape or Swamp's lizard man isn't some silver-tongued demon. It's a brute, more beast than mastermind. Still, multiple witnesses insisted on the humanoid shape, the upright posture, the bipedal gait, and the unmistakably malicious glare. Could this brute be a misidentified animal? Perhaps some mutant alligator or an iguana gone wild and large? Maybe, but the descriptions don't quite fit. Human-like body, 3 fingers, aggressive behavior. The local wildlife experts were stumped. Alligators do not chase cars on 2 legs. The town responded in the only way they knew: arm themselves, stay vigilant, and, for a brief time, turn the lizard man into a local celebrity. Enterprising Bishopville residents sold T-shirts, and the sheriff's deputies increased patrols through the boggy maze of Skape. Yet, despite a media circus and a community on edge, the entity itself never offered any clear agenda other than chaos and intimidation, a pattern echoed in many reptilian, cryptid reports across the world. And here comes the first twist. While the mainstream began to roll its eyes, cryptozoological investigators turned up patterns. The creature's 3-toed prints have been echoed in lizard man legends from the Midwest, South America, and even Asia. Are we seeing a global archetype here? Something that pops up in isolated areas, always described as a dangerous bipedal, scaly humanoid, always aggressive, always fleeting? You might think the story ends with a thud, a hoax confessed, or a prankster caught. But after 1988, sightings kept cropping up. In 2008, a couple driving in the same area claimed they hit, another massive scaly beast. Their car was left with deep scratches and green residue was found on the dented fender. This was not a one-off legend. It had legs, quite literally. Let's talk motives. If the lizard man is malevolent, a predator, a scout, a hunter, from whence does it come, and what's its agenda? Classic reptilian alien lore paints these creatures as infiltrators, cold, calculating, interdimensional beings bent on manipulation or resource extraction. But Skape's cryptid doesn't fit the pattern. It's not hiding, it's not blending in, it's manifestly other, as if it doesn't care to be seen, as if scaring us is the point. This brings us to behavioral patterns. Researchers who've mapped cryptid sightings often note a spike during times of social stress, economic downturns, political crises. Was the lizard man a projection of local anxiety? Or the opposite? Was it an opportunistic predator taking advantage of distracted, vulnerable prey? Another question: why the swamp? Swamps and wetlands are classic breeding grounds for legends, but they're also extreme environments that humans rarely penetrate deeply, perfect hiding spots. In classic alien lore, encounters almost always occur in places where witnesses are isolated, driving alone at night, camping far from cities. The lizard man, whether alien or animal, appears where we least expect serious danger but are most vulnerable. Local police, under pressure from the press, tried to calm the hysteria, suggesting pranksters or hoaxes. But over time, too many witnesses came forward, repeating the same core details: green, scaly skin, red, radiant eyes, monstrous strength, unrelenting aggression. At its peak, volunteers combed Skape or swamp, armed to the teeth, but the lizard man always slipped through their nets. And just when you think the story has settled into folklore, Bishopville police started receiving prank calls and hoax reports. One teenager attempted to capitalize on the story by dressing in a lizard suit, only to find himself in custody on a chilly morning, sweating under the hot gaze of angry townsfolk, and a few UFO researchers disappointed by the mundane explanation for that specific sighting. Yet the tension persisted. For many, the lizard man was no myth. Even after the official investigation waned, locals avoided the swamp at night. Tall tales became whispered precautions, and for some, the scars, both physical and psychological, persisted. The story even inspired pop culture. Documentaries, folklore books, and late-night monster hunting radio shows. Some fans hoped for a new encounter. Others quietly prayed the creature would never return. So let's address the skeptics. Are there rational terrestrial explanations? Misidentification of known animals? Chickens spooked by an unusual alligator? Or even a prank gone too well? Sure. But why the repeated details across unrelated witnesses? Why the violence, so out of character for local wildlife? Here's another twist: the overlap with alien abduction stories. In some rare cases, Reptilian-like creatures have been reported inside ships or as onboard guards. There are points of crossover: the strength, the physicality, the malevolence. Is the lizard man a grounded example of that same interdimensional phenomenon? Or does it stand apart? Earthbound, ancient, an atavistic reminder that humanity is not always at the top of the food chain? What if the Skape or beast is both? An alien entity, but not the kind we're used to. One that doesn't care about secrecy or diplomacy. Instead, it makes itself known with a direct show of force and terror. The implications are chilling. And here's where we dive into the deep lore. The idea that reptilians, or beings like them, once ruled Earth, or still do, beneath our feet. Is Skape or swamp a remnant of a forgotten alien outpost? A thin spot between the dimensions, or a rare territory where realities bleed together and make monsters out of myth? Alternative theorists have pointed to the global frequency of reptilian sightings. The lizard man of Lee County joins the Loveland frogman of Ohio, the South American lagarto hombre, and the Australian yowie. Each has unique traits, but the connective tissue is the bipedal, reptilian, often aggressive nature. Could these all be glimpses of a single species, a creature more comfortable in the shadows, emerging just enough to leave a long legacy of fear? Or are they ultra-terrestrial, stepping out briefly from another layer of reality? Another facet, the lizard man has been described as solitary, never seen with another of its kind. Alien abduction lore sometimes involves groups, but Skape or's beast is always alone. Is it territorial, banished, a scout left behind, perhaps forgotten by its own people? Despite the terror, some investigators believe the lizard man may simply be a lost animal, exotic pet gone wild, or mutant, a case of misperception. But even these explanations cannot easily account for the uniformity of the witness details, nor the violence of its encounters. Let's zoom out. What's most fascinating about the Skape or lizard man is how fast the legend grew, spreading through late 80s media, through whispers and warnings, feeding on the primal universal fear of the other, the unknown. The thing in the darkness that watches, that waits, and that sometimes turns hostile. Whether physical or psychological, the impact is real. Bishopville, once sleepy, is now forever etched into cryptid lore. The lizard man stands as one of America's only cryptids with a witness-documented attack, a detail that leaves this dossier open-ended and endlessly debated. So what do we make of this all? Are reptilians truly among us? Is the lizard man a harbinger, a warning, or a misplaced animal? Does this cryptid overlap with the archetype of malevolent alien invaders? Or is it something infinitely stranger and perhaps ancient beyond reckoning? Will the lizard man return, or is it just waiting for the next unsuspecting traveler in the humid dusk of Skape? And what hides beneath other swamps, rivers, and foggy wilds across the world? As long as people keep seeing something that cannot easily be explained, the lizard man's legend and the dossier of the cryptid reptilian alien remains open. Before we wrap up, here's one last twist. In 2015, a smartphone photo surfaced taken near Skape. It showed a creature, tall and scaly, peering across a field at sunset, eerily similar to Davis's original description. Was it another hoax, or evidence that some legends never die? So what do you believe? Is the lizard man of Skape swamp a simple cryptid, a lost alien, or something far more sinister and unknown? Do you think reptilian archetypes point to a real, global phenomenon? Or are they just the shadows cast by our oldest fears? The answer, as always, might be right outside your window, or in the next misty patch of dark wilderness you drive past late at night. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever heard of the lizard man before? Or do you know of similar stories from other places? What alien dossiers, cryptids, or cases do you want us to investigate next? Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video to help us keep bringing you deep dives into the unexplained. And don't forget to keep your wits sharp next time you're out in the woods or swamps. Sometimes the creatures in the dark are all too real. Thanks for watching Vetted Shorts, where the unknown becomes unforgettable. Stay curious, stay safe, and keep your eyes on the shadows.